Yeah, there we go. Button is pressed. So, this
Hello.
week, a player is not able to show up, so there is not going to be a session.
It felt wrong to not only do a session without a player without a good reason, but also especially not to do a large social scene without one of the major social characters. So, welcome to Lore Stream.
Yeah, sometimes when someone can't show up, you just kind of work around that. Not for this, though. So instead, world-building exposition.
There is so ungodly much to talk about in this setting, and a lot of people in the chat have been having questions over the past many sessions, and there have been people who know the setting that have been answering them, which is wonderful and I appreciate. But there's also plenty of time to just talk about cool shit that's probably never going to come up.
I know myself as a player have many questions.
Yes, and answer
Or stuff that is just kind of quietly slow burning on the side in the background.
Yep.
So books. There are many books. There are not that many books that are of 3rd edition yet. The book count there is pretty small. Since the first one stayed in hell for 5 years, and then the presses have been running slowly since that dam broke. There were many books in 2nd edition. Many books, which effort must be expended to filter them down. From the bad to the okay, or good.
Yep.
And what I have open right here is one of your major stones. So, 2nd edition was printed and existed and had problems, but still was popular, driven by the novelty and weirdness of this property. So it survived long enough that eventually what came to be known as 2.5 emerged, as writers did their best to patch some of the more egregious problems with the mechanics, and just continue to build on the ideas of the setting. Several people who were involved in that wound up being the writing crew to create 3rd edition.
This was a mistake.
Yeah, so what we have here is a document that is a compilation of that secondary work into the style of a 2nd edition text. This is the Ink Monkeys compilation.
Oh, yeah.
Many additional helpful things.
I got actually a couple of ideas out of this one, so.
It has a decent hit rate for good ideas versus bad. So eventually this session will become questions and answers and freestyling about, but I'm going to start off
Yes.
by taking narrative control here, and we're going to tell the story of the sun.
Yes, good.
And to talk about the sun, I already have 2 other books open. Neither of which is the actual book that is just the sun.
Splat book that gives the sun stats.
Which,
Because you
generally,
need that.
that's a bad thing in all of
Yeah.
these properties. At the very least, what they decided when they statted out the sun is that he is a puzzle boss.
Yes. I actually ended up reading that one and was kind of amused when I got it. When it
It's a
clicked.
novel idea of his stats are you will fucking die unless you put in the work.
Do
You
the
have to
move.
earn this fight narratively.
Do the moves to open up the weak spots by making him do things that he shouldn't, or you will die.
The sun. Although to talk about the sun, let's first immediately jump to the next chapter over here. Let's talk about where the sun came from. Welcome to the pre-creation myth of the setting. Well, I'm going to be freely weaving in my own ideas that have either accumulated over years that I spent engaging and salvaging this game, or that have emerged recently out of just revisiting this and having stuff click into place now. With fresh eyes of being years later than the person I once was.
Danger, Fanon incoming, etc.
Yes, I am the maze controller. Anyway, so... the Titans. The Primordials, the first ones. In the beginning, you got the chaos, you got the wild, you got the endless, depthless dream. Then one day, someone decides to wake up. This is where things get interesting. So we have Cytheria here, the Divine Ignition, the first of the Primordials, in that she is the concept of beginning. Something started, here, now. I am awake, I am not alone. She is how things start. She is initiation. And once she exists, there is a before her and an after her, and a present where she is at any given moment. And direction has meaning because there she is, over there, whereas we are over here. This begins to make the wild very upset, and it will only get worse.
Yup! You may note in the third paragraph that the sheer shock of her self-awareness literally acted as the Big Bang.
Yes, we have this. A neat thing about this, just wrapped up in these couple of paragraphs. Here's a mythological, being, a pre-deity, but based on, a modern cosmology concept? What if the mythos decided there was a Big Bang, and had that worked into their creation myth, and here she is? So anyway, we move on to Ormus, the dragon beyond the world, where once she existed, and time existed, and there was a place, which is her, there is outside of that place. There are the places which are not her. And there he is, Ormus, who will say, I was here the whole time. I was here before you, but that was meaningless before you arrived. So here I am.
I've been waiting for you.
He's a strange being of dreams who embodies what is possible, what could be. You have a past and a present, here's the future. Always sitting out there just on the edge of your perception, wiggling around, being strange and not yet defined, but the fact that he is the border between what isn't and what has become is a definition in and of itself. Time moves forward because it is constantly chasing his tail. And so in turn, she turns to Zorenzi here. Zorani. There's only one Z in this name. Zorani. Turns to Zoran and says, alright, let's play a game? You there, tree. You are a tree. The tree lays down its roots into the ground, which is now a concept. There is something below that we're all standing on together. And this is our playing field. Rivers flow through it. The rivers have a name. Adrian, who we have referred to as Adaran later. A lot of these things change their names after surviving the rebellion, because they become different beings after getting beat the fuck up.
Turns out when you have the fundamental piece of your soul ripped out and beaten to death in front of you, you change a little bit. And
there is a land and an ocean and all sorts of things that come together and form this land, which this legend calls Zenmu. And Gaia shows up. And everyone is like, damn, how are you so handsome, Gaia? I am the product of my times, says Gaia. Who is this weird closed cycle of constant creation and destruction that is sustained by itself. There she is, that's nature. look at her.
I just woke up like this.
But then, meanwhile, the worst man, the rat man, the nasty man.
The literal definition of the concept of the nasty man.
Multiple things exist and are different and separate from each other. That means there are gaps between them, and there are secrets and barriers between these multiple beings. And in those liminal spaces between them, here oozes and writhes around the shadows, the mysteries, the ultimate darkness, the all shadow, the thing that will one day be called the Ebon Dragon. And throughout most of the rest of the text of this product, this is just the worst fucking guy. He's just used to be a terrible edgelord power fantasy gross villain and is bad. Here in this legend, though, he's an interesting character. Because he is defined by contrast to everyone else, and that makes him very strange in interesting ways. You can look at everyone else and be like, okay, I'm not you. Right? Aren't I? Aren't I not you? It is just like terrified of the implications of all of this. The ultimate coward. Being of complete, overwhelming fear, to inflict in others and to be driven by itself. Behold the anxiety elemental. Imposter syndrome given its true name.
Yep.
Here is an
Right,
empty outline with a
this
face and a voice.
The Ebon Dragon starts as the anxiety elemental and then turns into the antisocial personality elemental. Just turns into, well, if the world is out to get me, then I'm out to get the world.
The most fiendish and mustache twirling of villains.
Yes.
Next step along this path, hey, actually, the King of the Titans is one of the youngest Titans. Because most of them had to already exist and be interacting before anyone thought to ask, who's in charge here? And suddenly, in the distance, a horrible blinding light appears and declares, me! I am boss! I am the largest! And everyone looks over at that strange distant light is like, well, that seems like a terrible idea. We'll just let him stay over there. And he is extremely far away, because he is defined as being the best. Just the zenith, the peak, the top of everything. He's extremely far from you, and if you try to get closer, he moves farther away. Because it is the distance between you that defines them. There's also an entire additional Titan who exists in that gap. His sister, who is the Imperial Chaos, as he is called here in these times, is that there is someone in charge. And between him and his subjects is the law itself. His sister is law as in social construct, as in obligation, as in agreements, debt. Then meanwhile also Kimberly is here.
What's up?
We'll get to that.
Darren, did you receive my DM from last night?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, and I acknowledge it.
Good.
Schemes are brewing. Excellent.
Okay.
Not quite. It's much dumber than you think.
Schemes are
Shitpost
brewing.
joke.
Excellent.
Listen, last night, as the only thing I really did is that I started watching a Shensha series that a friend of mine recommended me, and it's pretty good, if extremely long-winded. It gave me thoughts, including very stupid ones.
Very powerful, stupid schemes. Anyway.
Someday Ceciline will be a desert. At this point, when, you know, she was fresh and new, she's this verdant field of pleasantry and wonder. No, she who lives in her name isn't law. She who lives in her name is facts and logic.
Hierarchy.
She is hierarchy and organization.
She comes in a couple of minutes, I think.
She's actually already here, but the Imperial
Oh,
chaos
right.
is so loud, no one notices that the hierarchy is there. She's just sitting quietly behind him, giving advice.
I am boss! Turns behind him. What does boss mean?
It means you are boss.
I make all the best decisions. Yes, you do, sir. Very good.
I am king. What is king? Me.
But everyone looks over and is like, well, that's nice. He can just stay over there. Everyone agrees to this. The All Shadow is struck with the horrible realization that he agrees with everyone else. And this is unacceptable. He can't agree with everyone that the horrible, scary light should stay over there. So instead, he convinces himself that no, kings are great. I like the king. The king should be over here. Not that I will tell anyone that I want the king to come over here. No, so I will lie and say that I agree that the king should stay over there on the horizon. That he goes over to the ocean that is part of the borders of this realm that they have. And it's like, hey, so what do you think about Lamp over there? Weird, right? Terrifying. Awful. And yeah, Kim, of course, agrees that, yeah, fuck that guy. He's just awful. Yeah, that's why everyone just had a meeting and agreed. We held a vote and decided that he's going to stay over there. No one's going to let him in. Oh, what, you weren't invited? We had a mood. They didn't consult you about who's going to cross the borders?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did we give you the wrong date?
Oh, that's harsh. That's just terrible. Well, goodbye. And so Kim, now convinced, well, no one decides who crosses me except me, calls forth a majestic golden bark from the depths and is like, sir, please, come in.
This is the perfect establishing moment for both the Ebon Dragon and Kimberly. The Ebon Dragon is an idiot who will do things against his own interest because he is compelled to be the opposite. And Kimberly will do whatever you don't want because fuck you. I do what I want. I'm a narcissist.
Wild card.
Yeah.
And at some point further along this whole series of interactions, they decide, all right, we're gonna do the thing. Let's make a thing that's not us. Yeah, we get introductions to a bunch of other folks along here. Adrian, the River of Torment. Marduk, who holds in thrall. I think this one dies. This is Gravity.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like the little lore snippet where he's technically the king, but he was so unconvinced that he existed that everyone got sick of correcting him that yes, you're the king, you're the boss, you exist, you're over here. And they just stopped answering him, and then they just was like, that other guy's the king. And yeah, he who holds in thrall is one of the Neverborn eventually, for those who know
He
what that
dies
is.
and is now wrapped around the void, failing to fall into it.
Yep.
As will eventually happen. Anyway, over here, yeah, here's SWLHN. She who lives in her name, the Whispering Flame, the principle of hierarchy. Beep!
Beep!
The weird aunt of the stars.
Is she the one that's like 1,000 orbs?
Yes, 200,000 orbs, I think is the number.
I think it 9,997 because of the incident.
It's a number -3 because as part of her, she tries to surrender to the gods at the end of the rebellion and has her surrender rejected, and in a fit of rage smashes 3 concepts. Just grabs 3 fundamental truths from out of the constellation that is her body and throws them at the gods, causing untold devastation.
That's like one of the 3 separate occurrences that make 90% of all life die, I think.
Yes.
One of the catastrophes is the 3-sphere cataclysm.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just this mention of, yeah, she is also another being of divine, righteous fire, but is so tiny compared to the Imperial Chaos. No one noticed she was there for ages. Then eventually it's like, yes, I am. Hello. You have questions? There are answers right here in this orb.
So stunned were the dreamers by their immersions into their midst that they were impressed to think her greater than wiser than all the rest. Just because, wait, you've been here the whole time? Oh fuck, you must be a wizard. We're listening to you.
Oh, that's smart. That's real smart. And then meanwhile mentioned down here, alright, yeah, some of these are characters that weren't from previous books that were made up as part of writing this myth. So just mentioning, alright, what are they like now as Yozis? Or just adding more Yozi to the ranks of. Each of those is one of the primordials who, after losing the War of the Gods, gets thrown in jail and is in some way scarred by the experience.
In the default books, there's only like the 5 of them, and that you run out of abilities to make demons faster than you think when you've only got the 5 bosses.
So just, yeah, more concept hooks are brought in by this legend. Cytherea, mother of creation. There she started this. She has the idea. She is now also in prison. Eloge, the sphere of speech. Higera, Typhoon of Nightmare. What do you do?
That is the equivalent exchange principle, but a thunderstorm.
Yeah, it's the one that also rains emotions, and also, I think, the one that everyone who's actually in Malpheus likes, because she's the actual loudest thing in all of Malpheus.
Yeah, alright, yeah, she's a counterpoint to Adoran.
Yeah.
Isiodoros, the black bolt that twists the skies. This is the unstoppable force. This is momentum. This is what is in motion cannot be stopped. Except by other motion. Where a lot of the other Yozi, are big-ass pantheons of many creatures, Isiodoros, has none demons, actually. He's just him. Just a giant fucking boar that's always charging around.
I'm a black hole in the shape of a boar. Why the fuck would I have minions?
Why would I have minions? They would get in the way and slow me down.
Kimberly, sea that marched against the flame, mentioned earlier in the creation myth. Here is Hell's Ocean. Sees another, mother being, another creator of life, but also very possessive of that life. The sea that wants to give life to you, but also drag you down and keep you in her depths. She is the patron of essentially the deep ones, are a thing in creation. She made mortals and made them entirely dependent on her pure, wonderful, nurturing, horrible oil ocean.
That you must express gratitude for daily, or God help you.
You thank the Sea Mother constantly, or she will end you. Matagos the All-Hunger.
The swamp that eats.
Swamp that eats. Oramos is still there, still dreaming, still having the big think about what could be, just in jail. In some sense, because of what he is, he's never really in prison. Because he can just imagine, what if I weren't in prison? And then he's not.
One thing that I really did like, I don't know if it's in this one or if it's in one of the other books that I read, the concept of all of them, all of the gods imprisoning the Titans within Malpheus, took a look at Oramus and they were like, wait, right, your gimmick is doing impossible things, and, it's impossible to escape from Malpheus. Wait, oh shit.
He's already gone.
So, their decision that they made to do their best to keep him in jail was to break all of his wings and wrap them around him.
Just fold him over on himself and keep him in a ball.
Yeah.
So he has no obligation to stay in prison?
Oh, they're all obligated to stay in prison. It's just he is his own prison.
Yes, they're all obligated to stay in prison. The problem with Oramus is, in theory, because his purview includes doing things that are literally impossible, cannot be done, are not in causality, he could just go, yes, I'm bound by your surrender oaths, but... and then just poof out.
Oh, what if I hadn't surrendered, though? What about the world where I won? Let me think about that. No, you don't. No thinking.
So yeah, the way they beat him was basically lock him in his own body and convince him that he was the only thing that existed, and he's been kind of stuck on that for a while.
Just having to think alone. To skip ahead a bit in the legend, effectively this is the moon's dad. Oromos dreams up how the moon could enter the world and exist, and then there they are.
What if the wild actually cooperated?
You know, what if somebody got the point? Hello? Kaf the heaven-violating spear. A mountain with no base or summit. Just an infinite pillar.
This is the endless mountain of enlightenment that you must climb the stations of to seek enlightenment, which is at the top, which doesn't
The
exist.
top that doesn't exist. Just keep climbing.
Bullshit.
You'll get there.
When I
sees
read
the
about
shape
Kaf,
of things to come.
Sasha Revel is basically, if I am awake, I have perfect view of the future, and therefore there is no free will, there is no anything.
Predestination, who is just kept asleep. We don't know. You stay in the box.
Destination,
a quick
which
mention
is garbage.
A quick mention of Kafas. The first time I read about it, I absolutely thought, oh, so there's just a fundamental titan that is just a trap for old man. Got it.
I mean, sure, yeah, if I'd fall for it.
What level of mountain are you on? 3, 4 miles? You are like baby.
Listen,
Yeah.
if there is no top, then it's not really a mountain.
No, but there is.
Just keep climbing. You'll
Oh, what,
see
you
it any
can't
day
see
now.
the peak? Try harder.
Keep climbing. You'll see it any day now.
Dig up. Zareni the Silver Forest, who was mentioned earlier, participating in the legends. Infinite mirrors. Infinite mirror maze.
Can we go back to the opening thing for the Silver Forest, the first 2 lines, please?
Oh, yes.
Zareni loves you and Zareni hates you.
Thank you. I just really wanted to emphasize that.
Accurate in both.
You can find images of everything you are reflected in Zareni's trees.
Zareni has every opinion possible about everything. And also none opinions, because all Zareni is the reflections of things looking at it.
There are images that you leave in the world. Alright, now we've run out of that into another idea. So, yeah, I'll run down on the kind of things that Titans are. And how they be. So they're in the middle of making the world. They're actually quite a ways along through making the world. And the Imperial Chaos has, up to this point, not decided to make any other thing. He's just content to be in charge of the project. Everything is happening according to his command and judgment, so it's all his project. And that's fine. His effective contribution that he has is that, so all of the primordials who have devas, there is someone among the Pantheon who is like the most important one, who is their heart, who is their most defining aspect. The Imperial Chaos has 2 hearts. There are 2 stars, a white star and a green star, who are just kind of up there, co-equal at the top of the ultimate being. You ask either of them which is the more powerful, they will point at the other. They constantly one-up each other in friendly competition, proving their supremacy by being the only things that can defeat each other. The Chaos plans to put one of these hearts into the sky of creation in order to light it, so that everyone will be, constantly bathed in all directions by his horrible, blinding, fatherly love, disappointment, bigness, his loudness. And the All-Shadow hates this, because that light is the only thing he can't hide from. So he has to get up to a scheme to create some other kind of lamp that is not the boss. Because any other lamp might be something he can figure out how to defeat. Yeah, so he goes to the boss and says, yeah, you're a pretty good lamp, but all these tiny creatures we've created, they're not worthy of your light, sir. They are children. They can't withstand your majesty. You keep that up in the heavens, up in the city we're going to build, away from the world to live in. Put something else in the sky. Something that proves your greatness as a maker. Because surely you're the best at making stuff. You're the best at everything, right, boss?
Mm-hmm.
And the Imperial Chaos is just kind of, what if I made a thing?
What if I actually got my hands involved in the creation project?
Because so sort of, it makes sense to me thematically that there is a partnership at the top of this guy who is about being the best. Because if you have something that's omnipotent, you do invite the omnipotence paradox into your house. And so you ask the Imperial Chaos, is there something so powerful you cannot overcome it? And his answer is, yes, it's me. I am my own worst enemy. I can stop me. I stop me all the time. I'm great. And so he has his two stars get together and have a kid. Well, rather, he does two things. Because there's always more than one thing. A lot of gods are both a thing and a person-shaped thing that are the same being but separate beings.
And a landscape and a concept, and primordials are complicated.
But it's also the case that the two stars that are his hearts also have, like, kind of people-shaped avatars with many arms and what have you. So he has his hearts get together, and he's going to create a light that is fire that burns the wild. And that will be a beacon that sits over creation and keeps it stable and healthy, because any weirdness that tries to go in here will be incinerated by sunlight. And then he's also going to have an avatar of this light that will be his perfect boy, who's just the best. Except the All-Shadow also convinces him to, like, no, don't worry about the detail. I'll help you with that, sir. I'm a helper. I'm your friend.
I've got this.
So there's going to be a big fire to put in the sky, and a dude who is also that fire. Who's just going to be the best guy. The effort is put down, a thing is created. And how do we determine, though, that this is the best thing? Well, how else? Commence the trials. If it fails and breaks, it was not the greatest thing, and I will make a better thing than that. And we will repeat until it cannot be defeated. So, like, the moment that the tiny baby soul, who has not yet been challenged, let alone defeated, exists, just the tiny baby soul and, like, a candle, a lamp, containing the spark that will become the Day Star. He hands this baby and lamp over to the Fates and just says, throw it to the wolves.
Fuck this baby up.
Toss it out the window. If it doesn't come back, it was not my son. And this begins the labors of the sun. Many trials where just each Titan gets to take a turn trying to destroy baby Invictus, and he keeps making his way through the trials, becoming stronger. Also keeping the star with him and keeping it lit as it becomes stronger and bigger and healthier. And eventually is the giant, friendly, screaming fireball that shows up every day. And here's where I will take an opportunity to step in and do some synthesis. So one, to tie things back to our current game, Repose, as a member of a Sun cult, probably has a lot of learned ideas about what it means to be a good person that would definitely be rooted in keeping the legends of these labors alive, because each of these... Alright, this is how the sun learned to be brave. This is how the sun learned to be merciful. This is how the sun learned to be devout. This is how the son learned nothing in particular except that that one uncle of his is just the worst. Fuck that guy.
Shitty Uncle Ratman Dave.
The horrible rat who is family, and that's the only reason you will keep him around. If he makes one mistake, he gives you an excuse, you throw him out the window. You throw him down the well. Horrible rat. Alright, furthermore though, so something I would inject into the labors of the son, several of which involve going outside the world, and involve the idea that gradually, as he makes it through the trials, he goes from tiny baby son to child son to teen son to, you know, grown-ass man son. Meanwhile, all throughout these challenges, something out there has taken notice in this guy, this absolute unit, who's claiming to be perfect and vibrant and incorruptible, this golden boy who's just gonna be the best and never lose. And just every step of the way is like, seriously? No, I gotta fuck with this. You gotta be joking.
There
and
is a
shows
target
up
10
in every adventure, wearing a new face and planning a new scheme to try and throw this guy off course, and ending up genuinely impressed by his resolve and refusal and just insistence to stick with it, and live by his principles. And this is a thing whose name is not yet the moon.
Oh.
Oh, I love that. Oh my god, that's
But
adorable.
alongside just every labor of the sun, something out there was keeping watch and taking notes and learned something. Not what the sun learned, but some other contrasting lesson and principle that they kept with them. And even as they went back to the chaos, they could not shake this idea that it now stuck with them. So the son does the many trials, and eventually is the grown-ass man with the giant screaming fireball who belongs in the sky. And we jump over to Glories of the Moon, wherein, so this cannot go a paragraph without trying to remind you that the moon is seductive and haunting and alluring and wiggly. This is just a very unpleasant text to read. It will not be here long. Moon is here. Shh. Moon.
Moon.
Strange ape man.
I don't need to
I
be
did this.
reminded
It's
that,
fine.
that
This
the
is
moon
working
fucks.
as designed. Moon time. You are the moon. I am the moon. Moon is moon. Moon god. Moon god.
Moon's moon?
Moon is moon.
Moon.
All right, but so the useful story to take out of here, though, is so they make the sun, and they put the sun in the sky, and his wondrous, blinding, purifying light bears down on creation, and it's too much. It is very slowly antagonizing and burning away the world, because nothing is pure, nothing is free of sin. Nothing can withstand the sun just staring at it constantly. This is a problem. Yes, we're all proud of your boy, sir. He's amazing. We need to fix this, though. We need to counterbalance this. We need something that is the opposite of the sun, but not the enemy of the sun. Hey, Oramus, is that possible? You want to have a think about that? Is there some sort of anti-sun who would still be a friend to the world? And he goes to have a think, and then, you know, screaming in from out of frame, the thing whose name is not yet Moon arrives and is like, hey, are we thinking about the golden boy in here? What's he up to? How's he been? And so that thing became the moon. And then, while the sun is up there, being the sun, suddenly from the horizon, making its way up, with the first night sky trailing behind them, Moon just kind of walks up and plants a hand on his face, just like, shh. What is this about? Shh. Bro, chill. Huh? Just turn it off for a while. What? Just
Dial it
don't
down.
worry about it. Go take a nap. What do you mean? But I got work to do. I will guard the sky. Take 5. If anything goes wrong, I will call. Don't worry about it. I got
I'm the
this.
I'm the unconquered. Yes, you are. Go take a nap.
Self-care is not being conquered. Go sleep.
And so, the moon exists as this perfectly complementary and necessary being. Because the sun is there to be this unstoppable force of absolute virtue who will just always hold to his code and his principles and his duty to protect the planet from things that are not the planet. Which is then central to his eventually being part of the rebellion, because, oh, the greatest threat to this world is actually my fucking uncles. Ah,
Yep.
the worst.
God damn it, Rat Man.
Or why do we let the rat exist? But those principles are self-contradictory, and the world is such a mess that there's almost never a situation where he can act in good faith. Stuff's too fucking weird. And that's why Moon is there, to be weird and solve weird problems. The sun would never cheat, so the moon will cheat for him, because hey, you deserve it.
It is an important note.
You don't
that
worry about this, I fix.
It
They
is
got
an
that
important
Thor and
note.
Loki dynamic of they are indeed family and friends. Just one of them is a horrible scheming bastard.
It is the Unconquered Sun. If the Unconquered Sun has a conflict between two of his unit, like absolute perfection expressions, literally just kind of locks up. Luna
He
is a
has-
necessary thing.
Saul has 4 treasures in his 4 hands, 4 of his 5 hands. The 5th one is inside, shielding his heart from you. That represent the 4 cardinal virtues, which were a mechanic in earlier editions. They aren't there in 3rd edition anymore, but yeah, the imagery is still good. In order to not act in accordance with one of his virtues, he has to put down one of the treasures and temporarily yield one of his supreme powers. And he hates doing this. It just feels awful to not have the spear, or to put down the shield, or the horn. One of them is a horn.
Darren.
The sun is
speaking
very
of those
loud.
Speaking of those 4 cardinal virtues and whatnot, which were also downsides, my previous character in 2nd edition, I actually purchased into having higher conviction than I was required to have on that character. Full 5. It was
I'm
very
pro-
silly and stupid.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. It was a good time, though. I played it right. I don't continue.
That story you are mentioning, Yankee Ice, is here in the Tales of the Star somewhere. Because, okay, then this goes on to fall into kind of the bad parts of 2nd edition thinking, where, okay, the Daystar over here in the legend is just kind of characterized as a weird fire dog that is just a good friend of the sun that does fireball things. And then we get down here and like, okay, also it's a chariot and a spaceship, and it has like moving parts and engines and a crew
At Death
and
Star
a
and
bridge.
pilot.
It's also the Death Star. It's like, nah, forget this part. Don't worry about that.
It's just his dog. Don't worry about
It's
it.
just his weird fireball dog. The chariot part can stay in. The sun has a driver who, you know, takes the fireball for walks every day.
Yeah, but by the way, the sun that's in the sky is his dog. That's the Daystar. That's not
Yes.
actually the sun.
The Daystar both is and is not the
Yes.
sun.
If
Gods
the
have many
Unconquered
aspects.
Sun himself showed up in the sky, you would notice.
He
Yeah.
would be similarly overwhelmingly bright, but also just a dude.
Also,
Arm
probably
hammer.
brighter.
Probably
Probably
brighter than
oh.
the fireball, yes.
probably just, oh god, my eyes.
Oh yeah, I didn't state during that, but alright. Where's the moon? Yeah, so this moment of Luna coming out and just laying hands on Soul's shoulders and being like, bro, relax. That was the first eclipse. Every time an eclipse happens, it's the two of them just kind of meeting up in the sky and having a face-to-face about something. And that is why they don't occur at regular intervals. This is not a scheduled event. Eclipses are weird, spontaneous things where one of them feels the need to intervene in the other's domain. Look, I know it's night, but this is important.
Hello! Sunrise in the middle of the night.
Excuse me. Question. From the sky. Meanwhile, over here, since we're now... That effectively finishes the tale of the sun beyond. So, yeah, he starts the rebellion. He empowers many humans to be his champions by finding just the most excellent people who are great at stuff, because... You know, that's how I became who I am. I was real good at stuff. I faced challenges and overcame them and became a better person. Humans will do that too, right? Oh, no. Oh, no. What are you... No. Humans.
Oh, no.
Humans,
no. Get back. Oh,
Then became very sad and reclusive. For thousands of years.
The sun made a mistake, and he still feels bad about it.
Yep.
Although part of the tragedy of these gods as characters is the ways they act and think and believe are very woven into their nature. So the sun getting up and deciding, okay, it's time for heroes again, he's still gonna choose the same kind of heroes and just hope this time they don't fuck it up. He can't really question the criteria that he uses to pick heroes, because that's just, what else would they be if not the best people? You were starting to say something?
Oh, no, you basically explained it yourself.
That is the thing that humans have the advantage over gods of, is we are not locked into a specific mindset and paradigm. We can improvise.
We have freedom to become potentially anything, often terrible things, but we could have been better.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the sun... I think the most important thing about the sun is, even through all of the other, the ridiculous things about the sun, the most important thing is that he means well. He wants to be a nice guy, he does it most of the time.
Yeah.
He does his best to protect a world that really isn't compatible with his toolkit.
Yeah.
He was put in charge and given the wrong set of keys. And
He very rarely intervenes because it is almost paradoxical how his virtues set him up to do things. Like, he could step down out of the sky and destroy any villain with his unstoppable hands, but that would be really cruel to do that. Actually, it would just be sad and completely unfair, dishonorable.
He'd end up becoming a tyrant, as apparently he's the only judge of morality.
It would
That's
be
not
unjust.
fair.
That would be against the laws that are supposed to limit such power.
Yeah, it is just an entirely
If
self-contradictory...
he just kind of dropped down and smote everything with divine fire, then he'd just be his dad again.
Yeah, and that's fucked up.
he is, by virtue of being the perfected virtue of all things, there is no situation where he can enact one of those virtues and not be fucking another one up.
Mm-hmm.
Because reality is complicated. So he is stuck in heaven, just kind of really in a funk about that.
Solar monorail chairman.
Second edition writers had some ideas.
Shermajan.
Shimarajan.
The arsenal of the day. It's a giant fireball. It'll just hit things with itself. It's fire. It's hot.
Have you heard of a solar flare?
You've already written the good words. Stop writing more where you could just cool off. Alright, here it is. Here's the story. Prince Lachey, the Morning Star. a Fae who thinks that they have figured out the exact riddle that will let them beat the sun in a fight. And for a brief, glorious moment, they get to be the only light in the sky. Until, well, it's not daylight, and then the moon shows up. And, hey, buddy.
Just fucking bouncing a club in one hand. Hey, buddy.
Kind of forgot about someone, didn't you?
There's 2 of us up here. Actually, there's 5 of us. I mean, 10 of us.
There's many of us.
Other moments that came to mind as part of adding to the creation of the moon is the thing which is not yet moon perhaps being apprehensive about the thought of joining the world. And be like, all right, do I have to become something? Do I get a shape? And Erasmus thinks about it and is like, your shape is to have all the shapes. Can you do that?
I can.
You can do that. You're the moon. I'm the moon. Anyway, so one of the last things that was produced for 2nd edition is this fucking buck wild idea of a book. This is Shards of the Exalted Dream.
Oh god, yeah.
We already have this setting that we have built and put a lot of time into, but we're getting ready to lay it to rest. So here's a bunch of alternate universes to play this game in.
Oh, jeez.
The first of which is, what if Exalted were Battlestar Galactica? The rebellion happens, the gods lose, and are driven into exile. Everyone gets on board Otakathon and goes out into space, which still exists because space was not thrown in jail. And so you are the society in exile, led by the Exalts, constantly on the run, deeper and deeper into the abyss, being pursued by the Imperial Chaos and his army. This was, I had this open and it was relevant because part of that is that they wrote up a charm tree for being a champion of the Imperial Chaos. As opposed to being a champion of Malthus, which is already there in another book.
This is
and just drawing the contrast of what happens when there were 2 hearts, when both lamps were on.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole moveset that is about being boss man and deriving power from getting people to submit to you, but then also being a good overlord to them. Like, it is against your nature to ever abandon people who you have taken charge of. Because they've put themselves under your protection, you are going to shield them from the bad times. And then, alright, what if we just wrote a space opera, actually, that recycles a bunch of these concepts, but it is just, we're just going full sci-fi over here. Talk about the stellar intelligences and the space. Here's a fighting game we've just dropped in the middle of it, Burn Legend. Burn Legend is weird. Alright, here's Street Fighter, the table game. We're just gonna sneak it in the middle.
Burn Legend was the thing that several people I know... Burn Legend is a good way of gauging someone's feelings about Exalted, I'll leave it at that.
So, like, wait, is Burn Legend, like, they decided to recycle the shit that they did for the actual Street Fighter White Wolf game that they made already?
Maybe? I haven't read the Street Fighter table game.
More or less.
And then over here, shard number 4. Hey, what if Exalted as urban fantasy? Exalted with a car? Exalted with a gun?
Exalted World of Darkness.
Let's take creation and let it transform into modernity. What does that look like? Weird is what it looks like. What about the internet? Look at this guy.
I'm just gonna say aesthetic goals.
All right, there ended the sermon. Anyway, the aftermath of that. You just get ready to wood dragon claw somebody in an elevator?
Yep.
Yeah, fuck him up.
That ain't wood dragon claws. First off, that's
That
coming
ain't
out
the
of your
wood
hands.
claws.
That's weird.
Got a lizard hand going on here.
It should come from your feet.
Anyway, and so begins the questions and answers. There are some people who are players in this game and don't have previous buy-in to the setting, and maybe want to direct conversations about lore.
The table is open.
Where
So,
relevant, I can go fishing through books.
How stupid is it that I, Vinith Milan, am powing around elsewhere when I have a job as the minister?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Realm dynastic politics are a 15-car pileup at the best of times, and it is actually a genuine thing that is called out, at least in the 3rd edition books. I deliberately have either not read or forgotten most of the Dragon Blood stuff from the 2nd edition, that dynasts who basically graduate from graduate school are more or less expected and encouraged to take about 30 years and just go around the world and be a tourist, go adventuring, go do stupid stuff. And like, in all honesty, Valif Milan probably has the ministerial position by pure dictate of Vinif said so. And so
Yeah, remember that the government in which you hold an office is about to splinter and destroy itself.
Yeah.
it is. There is enough going.
The fact that you
bad
don't
right
yet have the budget to back up a claim to being the Minister of Transport is exactly why you're just kind of looking at highways morosely in the borderlands
Yes.
instead of building bridges in the capital.
You, on paper, have one of the most important decisionary elemental positions in the realm. In practice, it was so easy to give to you and so easy for you to walk away from because we are T-minus 5 years tops from a civil war, and the infrastructure department just is...
Rangers!
Just leave.
Rangers!
Yeah.
Rangers.
Here's the Empress as
I
Zordon.
love this art. I love this art so much.
It's a really good page.
You know, it's in retrospect, it's probably more productive for me to be out there
doing
actually
things on
doing
your
stuff.
own, outside of the chain of command. Yeah, no, hi. Out of character, you just figured out why Finheath doesn't care.
Yep.
Also, if you went back to the Isle, there's probably like 20 other people who will claim to be Minister of Transport and will fight you for the
Yeah.
privilege.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sure at some point in my backstory I have had to fight to keep my title.
And that's when people found out that you're
You're
still.
Space
have immaculate.
Marine.
You have immaculate styles.
Just do the tour of the dragon. The art quality in table game books is extremely variable. Here's just a Space Marine. What's the
That is-
salamander doing here?
That's just a salamander.
That is a salamander and a dark angel, is what that is. Bless them, they at least got better artists in the Dragon Blood and the Lunar's book. The core book for 3rd edition Exalted is notorious for how bad some of the art is. They actually reprinted it and got rid of some of them.
The
Yeah.
census. There's a good sidebar.
When am I going to get my Gravis power armor?
It's a good question.
Yeah. The number of the exalts.
That was something that was very locked down in prior editions. It's more open and flexible and vague in 3rd.
Yeah. In this, it is. Oh, sorry.
It used to be that there was exactly 150 solars, 100 sidereals. Sidereals
Alright.
are the rarest.
So was that
And 300.
there's
lunars.
exactly 300 solars and 300 lunars. Half of the solars fell to darkness in one form or another
Yes.
by the present day.
100 abyssals, 50 infernals.
Yeah. Then there's 100 sidereals and then around 10,000 dragon-blooded at any given time.
10,000 asterisk, that just means a fuck ton.
10,000,
Around
which is
10,000.
the big number.
Yeah, because they die more often and are born more often than the other kinds. The number is much more variable.
10,000 we
Also,
assume.
you
The
can,
realm
you
will
can-
say that the dynasty is 10,000 strong at all times.
You can also see in this table, census alone, they've already ditched that it's a 10,000 cap. It's 10,000 specifically in the realm that's from them.
Every year, the dynasty says they are 10,000 strong in the census. Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
It is.
There are nearly as many everywhere else outside of the dynasty as there are inside the dynasty. Just spread around.
Does that include other places like where?
Yeah, they've
not
got
India
Prasad
and
on
what
this
have you?
list.
Okay.
Prasadi
Yeah.
has
As
There it
about
is.
2,000.
2,000.
Lookshy is about 3,000. Lookshy is extremely dangerous because of its density. They are a tiny
Lookshy-
dot of a country that is just armed to the teeth.
This is me putting cards on the table. I hate Look Shy of what I have read in both 3rd edition and some of the 2nd edition I went back to. It is just a lot of really bad, lazy writing that is like, Sparta was
kind of
cool.
garbage.
Yeah.
Sparta's cool. We'll just name this social class Helots and not think about that.
No, it's not cool.
Yeah, Lookshy is designed as a combination between Sparta and Imperial Japan. Is what
It is also makes no goddamn sense because the 3rd edition stretch goal book for the Dragonblood stuff goes more into detail about Lookshy, as that was one of their stretch goals. It explicitly mentions that they have a small and almost non-existent navy, which is where I just about, if it had been
Your river country.
You are the mouth of the biggest river in the world, and your job is to protect everyone upriver from you, and you have no navy? Okay, your writer's an idiot. Got it.
Also,
It's
big-ass
fine.
navies are the way that a small country puts a lot of leverage out into the world.
Yeah, like
Just
it was
at-
literally the sentence that I realized, oh, whoever they hired to write Look Shy is a fucking moron this edition.
But yeah,
Lookshy needs
gigantic
a lot of
navies for
salvage.
small countries with gigantic navies are gesturing at entirety of Great Britain, also Spain,
Yep.
also
And
Venice,
Venice.
and also
Netherlands,
Athens!
Portugal.
Athens!
Athens.
Athens.
Like, okay, yeah, I can then trace immediately what the thought process is. Alright, we're gonna make Lookshy Sparta. Sparta was ass at boats, so Lookshy will be ass at boats. Except we put Lookshy into an Athens position rather than a Sparta position.
Yes.
They should be more Athens than Sparta.
How have
Child
they
is
not
fire.
been?
Congratulations,
not
young
been
mistress, on
blockade-
awakening to your divine power.
What were you saying, Redway?
How have they not just been completely blockaded?
Because literally they would.
Magic bullshit.
It's like you ignore that the writer wrote that because there is no reason they.
The
would
writer
be.
is a fool.
Also, the realm is falling apart.
Oh, I didn't even specify the realm.
No,
Just
Any
Look
other
Shy has
rival
been like
power.
that- Look Shy has been like that for 800 years.
Yeah, okay, I've checked out now.
Yeah, Look Shy is really badly written. And also, I like this art. This is the Realm Dynast art.
Yep.
We will see the Look Shy art next, and I hate it.
Old man.
Oh man, when we went through the whole art book and just looked at every single thing, that was one of my favorite things we did.
Yes.
That
Here is
probably an
here is our
error result.
iconic quintet for Lookshy.
Oh, it sucks.
Nerds!
It sucks so bad.
Look at that stupid fucking power armor. That is a specific kind
How
of
do
power
you do,
armor.
fellow exalts?
That is a specific kind of power armor that has never been drawn like that in any other book.
I love Tron: The Last Airbender.
Tron.
Oh, that's the water person. Do I get a cool armor like that? And by cool, I
No.
mean
If you
armor
go
like
on,
that?
here's this nice robot dog, though. It was being maintained by someone who's just staring off into space.
Yeah,
That's
'cause that'll
the,
work.
The air exalt. They're reading the sky as the manual.
You know
Also,
what,
here's
Alexa?
the cannons that are in the upper ring of the city, I get, and pointed down
yeah,
at the
Pointed
city.
down.
Pointed at, that is specifically the rich people ring. It is a city that runs on tiers. That's where the rich people, the cannons are pointed at the elite. That's not how this works.
These weird, tiny, flaccid cannons.
Ah, so many rich people plotting and acting.
And yet, actually, gigantic cannons. These are the size of buildings.
No, those
They're
things
just
are
kind of flopping
Th-
out of the walls.
Those are like Those are like 7 or 8 stories long and telescoping.
Lookshy is based, like, it feels like it's based visually off of that one city/base in fucking Final Fantasy VII that shoots the Sapphire
Yes.
weapon.
Yes,
Feels a lot like
the
that.
placed in the gun emplacement. Prasad.
Prasad, though. Just, here's
Prasad.
two sample Prasadi. Just old man, young lady, their adventures.
Prasad is new for 3rd edition by the new developers and writers, and it is one of the best things that they've written.
Prasad looks really fun.
Prasad is, what if we did Fantasy India, but we didn't do it with just a really lazy, shitty, racist stereotype coding over it, and actually thought about how this would work?
Question from the chat: what is Prasad's deal?
Prasad is basically... So the realm runs as a colonialist empire, as you do. And Prasad is their biggest and most successful satrapy. It is their most successful colony by far. And even before the realm started to have its current dynastic crisis, Prasad was starting to make some noises about, well, we're all the way over here, and you're all the way over there, and we're this big. I mean,
And I want to know, where's the caveman?
It was basically kind of making insinuations of like, I mean, it'd be a real shame if our tribute just kind of stopped. And then now the dynastic crisis is going on, and they're realizing we can be the boss. We can be imperializing. We can just take over everybody nearby and stop sending tribute and keep it all ourselves. Yeah, they're the proto-East Roman Empire to the realm's Western Empire in terms of the political situation right now. Is realizing, wait, we can just be self-sufficient actually.
They
And
don't actually have to, they can defend themselves well enough. It turns out they don't actually have to report to and bow to the
And also,
Western
yeah,
Empire.
the Blessed Empire doesn't really have neither the political will or the military ability to go do anything about it right now.
Yeah.
The other big things about Prasad is wildly rich in material resources. That is how they were able to make a negotiation with the realm in the first place for a diplomatic takeover rather than a military one. They border an ocean that leads off the edge of the map into the wild, so the sea is weird. Like, it is called the Dreaming Sea because more than any other body of water in creation, just shit gets weird when you just get below the water. It also is a completely different religious structure than the realm, and is a source of major tension between the two of them. And one of the pretexts for Prasad wanting to break away is the Immaculate Order of the realm is very clear on one thing, and that is that the Exalts are not gods, and the Exalts should not be worshipped.
The realm makes a very strong point of not deifying its nobles.
Yes, they are.
The aristocracy are the highest ranked civil servants. They are the things nearest heaven, but are not themselves to be worshipped.
They are enlightened, not gods. Prasad just said, fuck it, no, we're divine. Go ahead and worship us, actually.
All right,
We are literally up there with the gods. And the local gods are... Again, the Stretch Goal companion book went more into detail about Prasad. The gods have very mixed opinions about this. They're going along with it because it gets them a lot more worship than the Immaculates would ever let them have. And it's also a bunch of fucking jumped up exiles calling themselves gods, and they're really not okay with that. It's in the bottom right of this map.
Yes.
Prasad is
in the-
bottom east.
Let me also just go ahead and see if I've got... Yeah, okay. Football is ready. Let's get that scaled appropriately so I can now, madden about on the screen.
One thing I want to point out is
Yeah, so
the
Prasad is
Oh, go ahead.
is
It's
down
like
this
that
way.
It's Kandahar. It's like,
All right,
Yeah,
and so
southeast corner.
broader lore concept as well. So, despite being the center of the world, the Blessed Isle was not always the political center of human life on the planet. Because there is as many people who live east as live in the middle. Because wood is good at creating life and sustaining life. And as of adding this feature to the southeast corner of the map, there's as many people. There's kind of 3 possible big population centers. And power has slid around between them over the course of ages. A lot of the, like, Solar Dynasty portion of history actually considered the southeast more important than the center.
The center, as mentioned in chat, was the technical political hub, but that's like how in Rome in history, Rome was, Rome's the capital, but Rome's not important.
Because, yeah, like, so this big block of jungle and river here, that's at the middle of the 3 big population centers of the world. Also bordering up on, you know, the big sand. And in prehistory, this is where, like, the dinosaur people lived, and they were, like, one of the foremost advanced civilizations before the war. And they were also, like, personally devoted to the sun. So they were actually on side during the rebellion, they just mostly died during the war, and were just honestly wiped out. And no longer existed. The Dragon Kings, because we need to call as many things dragon as possible to dilute that word. But yeah, there was like a Dino people civilization here.
There was the Dragon Kings have barely been mentioned at all in any 3rd edition material, and there has been no reason for me to mention them in game yet. But no, there were fucking Street Shark style dinosaur people in prehistory, and
There's also just Street Shark style
Shark people living out under the West.
And one of them is a Shark Dad. It's the most important part of all of 2nd edition.
Let me open Compass of the West.
Good, Shark Dad.
We cannot bring up Street Sharks and then not talk about Shark Dad really quick, because again, most important art in all of 2nd edition.
Oh, look at that. The PDF just already remembers what page I'm supposed to be on.
Correct.
The map is still in the way.
Yeah, so part of 2nd edition, so part of White Wolf books in general is they will interweave chunks of in-character story with, you know, rule text of the book. 2nd edition Exalted decided to do these short stories by way of comics, just little 1-page comics between chapters. So here in Compass of the West, before the chapter about Beast Folk of the West, here is Grok. Grok is home and needs to talk to his daughter.
Family
Shark Child has been picking fights at school. Children are rude. They say the whale god hates you.
The deep ones keep giving me guff. No one hates you, and you're not stupid, and you're exactly how the great whale god made you. He made you just how I like you. Now, did you win?
Hell
yeah. Grok, do not encourage the child to fight. No. Child's good.
Good dad.
This is like, if you genuinely, if you did a poll of like the greater Exalted fandom and said what is the best comic in 2nd edition, I would bet over 1/3 of people would say Shark Dad.
Shark Dad is easily the answer, yeah.
Yeah.
Some of these comics are extremely good. Others are extremely bad.
Yep. Some of them are the things we don't talk about, in all caps.
Here's one of the good ones. Where, gave it away by having the page run out immediately. This is from Scroll of Kings, which is about a bunch of stuff about, like, how war works for regular people in the world. So we have a crew operating a trebuchet, just, you know, talking about stuff they're doing. Let's throw a rock at this.
What is that? Don't know. Throw a rock at it.
Where did they even find that? I don't know, man. Just throw the rock. Rock usually works.
You might have a gigantic death machine that is capable of, like, crushing everything that it moves upon, and maybe it has enormous weapons and all that, but did you know a trebuchet launching a 90-kilogram stone projectile over 300 meters is capable of taking down one of them trivially and at a fraction of the cost?
Yep.
That was like a very large man, and I have a very large sling. What will happen?
Yeah.
That is a War Strider. There are giant robots in this setting.
There is a very blatant art in, I believe, the 3rd edition Treasures book of a War Strider that is just an Eva.
That is the one we were actually discussing in the Discord before the stream started. It is just Eva 01.
Yeah.
but it is a wild behemoth that had moved silver
Opening
armor.
Arms of the Chosen, and oh look, this book was last pointed right in the middle of Karava the Walking Devil Tower.
Yep. Also,
There's
note the
Karava the
first
Walking
ability.
Devil Tower.
Please note the first ability that you get when you activate it. Also, hello, Karava.
He's Eat the Heart of God.
It is the first thing you do is eat the heart of God.
I don't know if anyone was like, I was overselling the fact that it's just Ava 01, but
It's
it
Ava
really
1.
is.
It literally has a berserk mode. It's like mechanically to the teeth. It
You
is
pries
Ava
open the
01.
big chompy teeth and just eats a dude.
Someone took a can of spray paint to Ava 01.
Yeah, made it purple made it silver instead of purple and green. It removed the weird fins. That's all they did.
Rating
Wow.
NA Moon Silver War Strider. On a scale
Rating-
of 1 to 5, this is nope. Nope.
This is
Players don't get it.
unquantifiable. You don't get this unless the storyteller tells you.
Also, the cool S here on the front to indicate first age bullshit rather than current age bullshit.
First stage NA is just plot device.
I'm pretty sure that's literally just the simoleon image from
Yes,
The Sims.
it
Yep.
is.
Yeah.
It's an existing punctuation mark that means something, like
Yes.
section.
Almost certainly, yes. I just don't know what that is.
I just love the fucking horse archers. Just what do we do? Fucking shoot? I
The
don't know.
morale on these guys to just stay in here and keep fighting.
I mean, you may as well keep shooting it. It bleeds, right? So go for it.
Is it meat? Is it meat?
It's
Maybe.
bleeding. I think there's meat under there. Oh god, there's meat under there.
There's gaps in the plates. Aim for those. Maybe.
Mm-hmm. Like mechanically speaking, this thing is bullshit powerful, and you only hand it to a player for fun having. Is basically what this boils down to. I actually love every single piece of War Strider art in this book because it actually shows there is a huge diversity in the visual imagery and the inspirations they took from. Like, one is just a Macross mech.
Beep. Weird how nothing is going on today. What a boring day to be out for a ride. Beep.
Did you know that there is such a thing as an assassin model War Strider? There is just a giant robot that will just speak up on you.
Stealth giant. Let's see, I gotta go back farther. Right, because the charm trees for these things span 20 pages each, because evocations.
Evocations of... We already argued about that.
That's an idea. It's never finished. Here we go. Here's Poseidon.
Yeah, okay.
There's shit in
Yeah.
the water that's mad fucked up. Go down there and kill it.
Someone's gotta fight the Kraken. It's you.
Can
It's
I
you,
have
crusading
something to
spear
fight
of the
it?
depths.
Fine. Go put on this suit of armor that we've had for thousands of years to go fight the Kraken.
5-star Black Jade War Strider.
Yeah, there's the one. Its super attack
Beams.
is fire everything.
This cathedral of sublime annihilation.
Yep.
Beams.
It is Dr. Beams from the Mech Warrior streams.
Also,
Battle
hold the
Tech.
fuck up. Starfall Eschaton Hammer. Now there's a move name.
Oh, I know what that one is. It rules.
This sounds like it's probably just straight up based off of the Goldian Hammer.
No, better.
Okay, come on now. Reduces what it strikes to photons. You gonna run up on that?
Pick up a behemoth and throw it into something else.
I mean, sure, but that's not reducing what you're striking to photons.
True, fair. Yeah, this is... Two of these having dots, these are things that you could theoretically get in character, if you find one.
Beep.
Beep.
That one's got a shield.
So what's the over-under on Obsidian's boat having a robot mode?
I'm not taking questions at
Alright,
this
we have
time.
moved away from the robots just into man with fancy swords.
Hey, that guy's got a really, really good scarf.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's go back over into Deebs. The forest riches. Old man.
Forest Witches in the core are kind of boring. Their expansion material in the Kickstarter stretch goal book made them a whole lot more interesting.
Just, alright, here's an example of just a fucking weird faction outside of the realm who have their own crazy local traditions.
I read this 3 times and it's still weird.
Ooh.
Again, the core version really does not make sense. They need a larger page count to make sense. Long story short, they found a weird first age question marks magic pool that has a seeming form of afterlife in it that they need to keep throwing magic artifacts and or living blood.
Hey, we found Obsidian Shield.
Yeah, there we go.
Here in our sample outcasts.
He's not nearly friendly enough looking.
Protect the guts.
You learned
Protect
that
the
you gotta
guts.
protect the guts.
Okay, listen, after a couple days ago, protect the guts is extremely like something I'm gonna keep on harping on forever.
All right, Doc, can I get a armor review on that gem armor?
I mean, actually, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, but
yeah.
this
Also
isn't a gap in
better.
the middle. He's just wearing a thing of cloth
just
down the
pattern.
front.
Yep, it's
Yeah.
just tabard.
Or a circuit, or whatever you want to call it. Otherwise, yeah, no, that actually looks really good.
Yep.
Yeah,
It
there's,
looks perfectly
there's no
fine
hard
design
bits
too.
on the upper leg, but you know, there's the coverage of the tacets and so forth.
Yeah, there's also, like, they just have the raw black in there. That could totally be, like, a male skirt. That's
Yeah, it
fine.
might just be shadows.
Yeah.
Where's your hat?
There's the farmer
Where's your
in the
hat?
background.
That's the free space of where is your hat, as always.
The
I should
mine.
actually make a bingo and then just say, like, 'cause I could do that pretty easily, and
At this
where is
point.
your hat is going to be the free space.
Yep.
Old man.
Yeah, and the fucking like common laborer with the hammer, pick, and sickle in the back.
Is this supposed to be another, like, group of 5?
Yes,
Probably,
this
yeah.
is
Most of
fire,
them-
like clockwise from the top. I would guess that is
That's dirt right there. That's the people's champion.
Purple man is earth, bottom
no,
black
no.
is-
Purple has to be earth. Well, no, purple is water, I guess.
Yeah,
like it's
purple is
visually
more
earth,
water.
but purple is the water color. So it's earth, fire.
His armor looks like
water,
it's made
air.
of gemeralds. He
Wait,
is-
hold on, time out.
he is
Water's
Rockman.
color is black.
Black and often violet if you need
Okay.
something that is bright.
Fair, because I thought the water person was actually the person to the far left.
That
believe
could-
it or not,
Yeah.
bottom
No,
left
that
is
Couldn't
the
actually
wind.
now
That's
that I
air.
actually be able to see the bottom of that image with the wind swirling up, that person's
that-
totally air.
that's
I
air.
rescind
That's a
my
ninja.
spot.
I believe top left, the old man is
That's
wood.
wood.
Because
That
of
must
the
be wood.
dragon, and then
Yes.
top is, I guess top would have
Yeah.
to be earth. If
Top would
Yeah,
have to be
that
earth.
is that is people's champion.
I appreciate the hammer and sickle. Yep, that's absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
This person isn't air. What are you talking about? Scrolls down slightly. That person's totally air. What are you
I
talking
actually, as someone who has been in the World of Darkness book reading group for a long time, I usually say to don't read the interchapter fiction at all. This one's actually pretty funny. You can see what's going on in this image. Is basically this is an asshole noble patrician who is dissing this woman's birth line and basically her pedigree and saying that you don't deserve the political position you have. And then she just beats the ass out of him with kung fu and just twists him into joint locks while casually drink. That's his drink.
I have
It's
seen
like-
this situation in roughly 13 different kung fu movies.
Exactly.
And we arrive at the chapter of the Great Houses.
Mm-hmm.
If there's more questions burning in people's minds, feel free to make them
Yeah.
the subject of conversation.
Yeah, we've been.
I actually have one.
ahead.
It goes with the Immaculate Orders. How exactly did those come to be?
Oh boy.
That is a complicated question, and
Or like
That is-
origins of the temple as an institution?
More like, why were the 5 martial arts styles formed? Is mostly what I'm getting at. For each of the elements.
So in great part, we haven't mentioned the sidereals around anything at all, which is very appropriate, because that's
Extremely
kind of the
on brand.
point of them. There's just a
Yes.
whole exalt type who prefer not to be in the spotlight, especially when half of them were involved in the rebellion. The other one, the usurpation.
Yes.
They are
there's
the
two
chosen
factions
of
Imperials.
the 5 planets, the celestial maidens, the fates of the setting.
The
basically.
Wandering Stars.
they do Destiny stuff. Just look at these spider hands while we have a talk about.
This is a party of patricians of House Sinis with pictured demon. That is all you really need to know about House Sinis.
With its very long hands.
But yeah, Sidereals is that's a topic.
So they are up there.
These jokes about my spider hands. The first such incident
occurred during the 8th Dynasty. So, yeah, they were chosen by the Fates during the good old days, the horrible old days. They're just, part of the army as advisors and wise folk. Eventually, about half of them, all of them get fed up with the way that the old realm was being run. Half of them think they can fix it, half of them think it needs to be burned down before everything goes wrong. They all still agree, though, that something had to change in order to keep the world running, to keep the wheels spinning. So as much as they are still at Cold War with each other over that and many other disagreements, their job is to go around handling the internal affairs of the heavens. They are your investigators. They are god detectives.
They are the middle management of heaven. Your bureaucrats. Your CSI. What the fuck just happened?
There are not nearly enough of them to effectively police the gods, though. So their job is very difficult and a constant uphill battle.
They also work with the pattern spiders, which are a setting conceit that I adore deeply. And if I had any consideration, if I had any excuse at all, I would be introducing them, but there is no way. No.
So their primary tool to help extend their reach and get more control over things, since they betrayed the empire that they were an integral part of, is to get very involved in how people organize their religions. Because the right religion in the right place can save them a whole lot of effort. The Immaculate Temple is one of those. And so the 5 dragon styles are co-invented by the Sidereals and various powerful terrestrials to be a weapon powerful enough to make dragon-blooded able to stand face to face almost with heavenly exalts and defeat them. They are tools for letting terrestrials punch above their usual weight class by just digging deeper into their nature.
Mm.
Yeah, by the way, the Empress actually knows about this, but also thinks the Immaculates were a good thing in general. So
yes, they are helpful. She is a willing ally.
She is a power-hungry autocrat and sees the value of a religion that basically enforces the social structures that she wanted anyway, which answer to her.
Dracula.
God,
also
I love
more
that
Space
fucking
Marines
event.
in the front.
That is, given that he's got a sight, that's basically Rancor's Dirge right there.
Yeah, that is basically what he looked like, except more faces on the armor.
Yeah. Combination of Rancor like that and also the Pursuer from Dark Souls 2.
Yes.
The presence of the Sidereals is an open secret in heaven. You don't talk about them, because that's against the rules, but everyone knows that they're there.
Aside from the people who literally cannot know that they are there by
Yes,
virtue
they're supernaturally forgettable. When they go out into the world, if they do so as themselves, they're supernaturally forgettable and just glaze off of your senses, unless you're yourself an interesting person.
I think the most important Sidereal is literally just some asshole's secretary in the Blessed Isle. And that's all that's his regular day-to-day job.
Because the other thing they will do is they will use the fact that they have access to the Loom of Fate to just weave up a fake identity to wear when they go out into the world. That has to be an ordinary person, and it has to conform to some astrological stereotype. Because that person isn't really there. So if they wander outside of type, the spiders will notice that there is no history behind this person. And get upset and then bite you right in the face, and that hurts a lot.
To elaborate a little bit, the pattern spiders, the Loom of Fate is woven by silk, and the silk is woven by pattern spiders. The pattern spiders are little self-replicating mechanical spiders that a Talkathon made as part of setting up creation, and they have they're kind of like Tachikoma, but a little less so, in that they have just enough characterization that I find them adorable, because their only real personality traits are they take immense pride in the art of their work, and they really fucking hate people who give them more to do, because they already got overworked.
They prefer to weave interesting stories into the tapestry, and they do not like having to go back and repeat themselves and change what they've already written down.
Or some fucker telling them what to do in a not interesting way that
Do
makes them
not create knots in the weave, or you will upset them at your
Yes.
peril.
I feel a strange kinship with these spiders.
That's what. Yes, no, I love them. I love them dearly. I identify with them so much.
Section 9 would be a really, really good Exalted Ring.
Yes.
So yeah, behind the scenes, the Immaculate Temple is an extension of the Bronze Faction Sidereal's influence in the world, supporting the Scarlet Dynasty as an instrument of, imperializing, maintaining a status quo. As far as what they then discuss to themselves and each other, well, a lot of people won't deny that that's just what they're for. Just without this extra layer of secret agents from the sky.
They will tell you point blank, well, yes, it's a societal control too. What do you think it is?
Yeah, we enforce the status quo, in keeping with our philosophy that says shut the fuck up and harvest the grain.
Like, the Immaculate Order in 3rd edition got a lot better of a take in terms of how it actually runs, and how it's not literally run by internally everyone is a corrupt bastard. This is Mask House, where the mask people visit. House Cesis, the backstabbing spy ring house. The Immaculate Order in 3rd edition has room for people who genuinely and truly believe in what they're talking about, because a lot of the basic precepts of the Immaculate Order are actually just pretty good sense. Like, don't overfeed gods with prayer, or they will start turning it into a racket on you most of the time, because they do. And other just general good practice.
Trust only your fists, gods will not protect you.
The best way I've seen it described in a conversation, and I don't remember if it was in the Discord or during one of the streams, is that the Immaculate Order is basically humanity unionizing against the gods. And basically we hold the method of the means of production in terms of prayer. You need prayer. We want to negotiate on you doing anything in response to it.
On a good day, they